I assume you all are ready to go home and have a dream. How many of you are avid dreamers, first of all? Fabulous. How many of you write your dreams in the morning? Okay, I've got a good audience. But how many of you really understand what those dreams mean? Or do you think that you need a particular dream dictionary to tell you? Or perhaps know that there's a dream dictionary inside each and every one of us, just waiting for you to get to it. That's what the Dream Tarot is about. If you are a regular tarot player and you use the cards and you do them well with the 78 cards and memorized meanings, bless you. You can continue and do it with this tarot. But there's one step further, because this tarot begins you on a path of understanding your own imagery, your own meanings, as they come from your memory within. On each card, there's an image that came from my own dream visions. It took over 10 years to produce. And each one of those images has a particular meaning on a particular day to me. In other words, they're not dogmatic. I'm not telling you to look at the cards and memorize them. I'm telling you that dreams have specific meanings that resonate with each and every one of us and with a memory bank within us. I'll pick one card to talk about, and it's a card I don't even need to show you an image of, although there is an image within the deck. It's the card of an onion. And if I asked each and every one of you, what does an onion look like? Most of you would be able to describe something that's round, maybe a few hairs on the top and the bottom, the way it's in the earth. Maybe it's shiny. Maybe you're looking at a sweet onion, which is white, or an interesting onion, which is a Spanish onion, and it's a beautiful purple, or your typical noble onion that is in most kitchens, which is yellow. That's perception. We all know what an onion looks like, or most of us anyway. But if I was to ask you to sit for a moment and think about something that that onion tells just you, you're going to go from perception to apperception, to something that happens in your life that that onion happens to tell you. So suppose you see the onion and you think of yourself in the kitchen and you sliced through the onion. The next thing happens is what? Tears. Then you remember an event in your life that perhaps was tearful, that was something unhappy. That onion card that day, when you pull it, is telling you about something in that event that resonates with your life at that moment to help you to move on. The onion also inside has many, many layers. Perhaps the tears are related to the fact that you're dealing with someone with a new relationship or a new job or a new house, and everything you see is shiny, like the outside of the onion. But what happens? You cut that onion, you get tears, and you see all the layers. Is there something hidden within the new opportunity that you have that you better watch out for? The onion is telling you, watch out, be careful. It doesn't mean it's bad, but there's something that you don't see that you need to see. And so each card will be like that. There'll be a man or a woman. There'll be events on the card that you will perceive. A woman, a book, a star. And every one of us sees that. But we don't need to memorize a meaning. What we do is we allow anamnesis to happen. Looking at one thing, bringing to mind something else in your life. And I think you all realize we're moving through time, we're moving in a linear way through cycles, and each of us is different on one morning from another morning. The cards are dynamic. They're calling you to understand what your life is about. So if you wanted to read them just as ordinary cards, tarot cards, they're wonderful. They're all denominated just like the regular cards, from the Fool through the major arcana and the minor arcana. It's all there. The costumes are very different. So it's looking at the imagery, because the image is the royal queen. It's the one that is going to tell you more about yourself. When you go to sleep at night, you go somewhere, and you have a dream, and it's a dreamscape. You are somewhere with someone interacting, something is happening. All of those images come from the unconscious, and they are the language of the unconscious. Very rarely is a dream what it presents, because that's just perception. The apperception of it is going underneath, and that's making your own dream dictionary. That's using the cards to say, what does it mean to me? Your own A to Z of what do you see with the onion? Well, maybe on one day, it is cutting it and having the tears. Maybe on another day, it's looking at it and saying, the first time you had onion soup, you thought it was divine. And maybe that was a date that you had with a beloved. And suddenly, you are remembering a completely different string of a story. If you're using it for yourself, it will help you in your own self-understanding. It'll move you forward, because every night we go to sleep and we have more than one dream. Problem is we don't remember most of the time, and we can teach ourselves. I've taught myself that I've woken up 5 times during the night. You know, it's like being at a multi-cinema and watching every movie that they have. And I've spent an enormous amount of time writing those dreams. But if I look at the dream on the day that I have it, and then I look at it 10 years later, the dream may tell me something different, because the unconscious has wisdom, and it constantly moves you in the direction you need to go if you know how to follow its GPS, its global positioning. So the dreams that led me to make these 78 cards are the same dreams that will help you with your own individual understanding. So know that it is absolutely not ordinary. It is very much for people who are interested in using their own intuition and their own abilities to move forward. It doesn't need any memorization. It merely means that you sit, you look at a card. I often tell people, take a card, put it out by your night table before you go to sleep, and do something that's called dream incubation. What do you want to dream of that night? Is there an issue? Is there someone who passed away? Is there a puzzle that you have at work that you can't solve? Well, put that card out, put it by the night table, and write what it is you'd like to dream about. When you wake up in the morning, here's the fun part. If you don't remember your dream, get up and write down what you would have liked to have happened. You know, on those rare mornings when I don't have a dream, I write down, oh, last night I was walking down a street by my childhood home, and then all of a sudden, amnesis. Something happens, and I often will remember the dream. If not, you've written a scenario. As a psychotherapist, I watch what people write, and what it compares to with the card is spot on. So your intuition and your imagination is what it's all about, because the imagination is the tool that connects you to the unseen world within. And that world is vast, and it is larger than the largest ocean and more eternally wise than what we see in the perception before our eyes. So this is a way and a route to understand more about yourself, and you can use it certainly in card reading for others. That one little onion I used that a week ago actually, when I first arrived, for a young lady. And it was interesting because the onion turned in my mind to an apple. And the apple was held by Snow White's stepmother. And I said to her, you know, it looks like as a child you had a problem. Your family was not exactly happy, and you left, but you found some place to go where they welcomed you. You remember Snow White, she found the 7 dwarfs. It was spot on for that woman. So it was one image that I allowed myself to just drop into the unconscious and say, what is it making me think of? And of course the onion changed, and it became an apple. So each and every one of you has your own images inside you. And once you begin, it's infinite. And you begin to make your own dictionary on what you think this image meant on a particular morning, so that you don't go and look up what someone else tells you. You know what the meaning is for you, and that meaning will be spot on for people that you're reading for. The book tells you about each card, but what's perhaps more interesting for many of you is at the end of the book, there are meditations. And those meditations will help to bring you to a space in your life where perhaps you might understand better something that's happening in waking reality. Most of us know that the first tarot card is called the Fool. In this deck, I call this first card the Innocent, the pure one who's about to begin on that long journey. So if you close your eyes for one moment, let's see what the journey of the innocent is for you. I see myself bathing in moonlit waters, beneath a sky shimmering with stars. I float upon the surface, feeling the flowing waters beneath and the cool evening breeze above me. I am between yesterday and tomorrow, like a newborn babe. I float between what was and what is. I am full of potential. Each star calls me, yet I'm uncertain of my direction. I am clay in a potter's wheel. I am marvel before the strike of a sculptor's chisel. I am the budding lotus about to burst forth. Yet I am in between, restless in my potential, anxious in my need to move forward. At this time, this moment, I glance above and search within. Which star do I follow? What path shall lead me to my destination? I am the innocent. My day is about to begin. The sun is about to rise on the horizon. What is it that I want to know and learn this day? What path should I follow? You can open your eyes and just think about that. What a way to begin the day, to focus, and then perhaps to jot a few lines down that might say to you, this is where I should focus today. You know, we have so many different distractions, but when we go into a small little meditation, what do we see? The shimmering stars, a sun about to rise, and we about to get up. Our waking brain and waking consciousness helps us to move in our waking reality. But what about that half time, that space in between? That's the real GPS. It directs us on where we need to go. So I hope each and every one of you will pay more attention to your dreams and the images that rise. And when an image arises that you don't understand, work with it, play with it. What does it make you think of? Where do you think you want to go with it? What person, what place, what event in your life does it bring forward? You know, I do past life regression, and I tell people that the reason to do it is to get that image, that place, that time, that tells us something about what we should do now. We'll never prove if we lived another life. We have no way to prove that, even if we know every detail of another life. But we can look at it and say, how does it speak to us? How does it help us to understand better who we are in our journey today? And that's what images are. They're the royal road to understanding. And your imagination is your ability to form mental imagery. And that mental image is the language of the unconscious. Every night, that unconscious rises, that voice within you, to help you every day. So I hope you'll give it a check out, and I do hope you'll pay attention to your dreams. So thank you for coming out on this night. The Devil and the Shadow. Well, all right, I personally, okay, I personally have never seen a devil or something evil. Okay, in a tarot card. All right, well, he's more of a sorcerer in my cards, simply because, you know, he's there to break up things, you know, stir the pot, make something happen, and he's not necessarily negative. The same way I wear Sekhmet, who very much could be considered like a devil. She breaks up things in order to bring things together. Within physiology, I'm a biologist, and I certainly know unless we break down things in the body, we're not going to build up anything. If we have a tooth decay, we have to break it in order to drill it out. So the devil is that card that would say to you, all right, pay attention, maybe you have to throw something away, maybe you have to move in a different direction, but wake up and watch. And he's a bit of a sorcerer, so someone may be around you that is telling you one thing, but maybe means something else. And again, you can do that. You can look at the cards. I assume that you play with the regular tarot, conventionally. Sort of. Okay. You can do that with these cards. I personally don't really read I read regular playing cards, not tarot. Yes. So you see what I do. I really move into the image. What is the card telling me? What is it making me think of right then and there? And believe it or not, when you let your rational mind escape and just, I always say, put the rational mind to sleep for a bit and just play. Let the imagination rise and trust yourself. That's the most important part. Trust yourself, because that imaginal voice is strong, but it may not give you what you think you are going to get. But sleep on it, get another dream on it, and it certainly will bring you where you need to. And again, each card certainly has the regular names of all of the cards that you would use if you want to play with it as a regular tarot. But there are thousands of those decks out there. And this one is different because it asks you to go in yourself and let yourself understand more about your own dreams and your own path. So, question? I can see the wheels turning. Do you watch your dreams?
No, I can never remember them.
You can never remember them. All right, let me tell you, I had a woman at Arthur Findlay where I was just teaching, and she never remembers her dreams, and she's about 50 years old. And what I did was she purchased the deck, and I said to her, put one by the bed, make a desire to remember your dream. Now, normally I do this with patients, and quite honestly, it can take weeks, it could take a month, it could take more than that. In one night, she had a dream. I mean, she was so excited, she let everyone know. You have to make the intention. You have to make that intention, because what happens, folks, we're in beta consciousness right now. When we go into alpha theta, that time right before you fall asleep, pay attention. You'll get information then too. But then you can fall into delta. Delta is the sleep where the body physiologically heals. And when you come out of delta, often you don't remember. And one thing, don't ever pop out of bed and go completely into the shower and work. Give yourself 20 minutes in the morning, earlier, so that when you wake up, you have a chance to walk through that memory and once again start a story. You know, like I do. Start a pretend story, and all of a sudden, one word will clue you in so that you'll remember the dream. But you have to want to remember it. Okay.
So what would your morning routine be?
My morning routine,
Yeah.
not hopping out of bed. And of course, I have the ability not to do that anymore. I always have at least 20 minutes when I first get up. And I remember the dream, and I have an iPad by the bed. I used to write during the night and scribble. An iPad is very easy. I write down the dream, and then actually I begin to draw it, which is how these came. So there'll be a quick sketch on a sketch pad by the side of the bed, and sometime during the day I'll paint. This. I'll stop whatever I'm doing during the day to make sure that that's recorded, even if it's just rough. Because if you bring the image, like the image on the first card, which is the Fool, if you bring that image alive, more happens to you. And I will tell you, if you dream of a bear, or you dream of a skunk, or a cat, or whatever, go on the web, get a picture of one, and put it in front of you, because that image has meaning for you. And it can be very different from anything that anyone else says. And it's for you to determine only by going in and asking, and you'll get more images. But that's what my morning is like. I'm constantly writing the dreams, but then I wake up during the night, so I may wake up 5 times, put the light on, and I do record them, because they really guide me in what the day is going to be. To me, it's very important. I learn more in dream space than I learn by reading books, even though, you know, I have a library in my house that almost rivals bookstores. I love books. But the book inside is the great book. You know, and my theory is that on our DNA we have all knowledge from all time, past, present, and future. The chromatin that seems like it's asleep is really what's carrying everything. And I think those of us who want to pay attention go in there, which is why we have predictions in the future and we see things in the past, because we are a culmination of everything. Creation is inside us. A dream that's guided my day. Yes, I had a dream that I was climbing a mountain. Oh, this goes back about 30 years ago. And on the very top of the mountain, I was met by a woman that I had never known before, and she was very strange. But she told me that I was going to do healing work. and I'm a biologist, and I've also had tragedies in my life where people died, and we had to worry about what the medical doctors were doing. So I really didn't want anybody to come to me to ask me for guidance for health when maybe I couldn't do it. And the woman had this snake in front of her, and she took the snake and threw it at me and basically said that this would be the work that I would do. Well, I didn't know who that strange woman was. It turned out I found an image of that woman, which I have worn on my neck ever since. And yes, I went on to study Ayurvedic medicine and herbal medicine, and I do complementary medicine. So it was not something I thought I was going to do, but that one dream, and I have plenty more. So the dreams, if you pay attention, they feel special. And I've told people this is like a mega dream. You can't get it out of your mind. You're meeting somebody, you're doing something. And the very name Temenos is the name of my retreat. That came to me in a dream, too. And I knew that I had to do that. So go into that space. It's your inner voice. The ancient Egyptians believed that we here were our smaller self, and the higher self was elevated in the other world. We live in a circle of time, and outside of time was all eternity. Each and every one of you lives in that eternal space with all knowledge. And the fall was the fall into the physical body that we're in. That's the heavy fall. So inside you is the connection to that voice, which can tell you and help you to move in your life. But it's another language, like a foreign language. If you haven't paid attention to it, you may not understand it. So you have to pay attention to the dreams. Yes?
What do the white snake represent to you?
Oh, this wisdom. I call her Sophia, because she's continually, takes off her skin, sheds it, and she becomes something new. And it does bring me forward. So the dreams are like that. I had another dream where I happened to be in a temple, and all of those snakes were everywhere. I was told I was the guardian of the snakes, and it's the wisdom that's inside. So I never felt that I needed to get out and do it, but I've been told that is my job. So this is the first of many books that I have sitting there, which hopefully you'll come back for other lectures on. But yes, the snakes of wisdom. Well, I think when we go into the dream world, we see some of those superheroes. I've often told people in the past, well, it could be Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and some sort of cartoon from The Simpsons to whatever. But I think today it is the superhero. And it's just an archetype of something else that you're working through. Any one of the beings, the lady I saw, the image of Sekhmet is just an image to speak to us. This is not who divine feminine healer looks like. It's just the image that speaks to us, because the language of transcendence is the image. And what's beyond the image, I believe it was the oracle at Delphi that said something about if it can be spoken, you're still not at the wisdom point. If it can't be articulated, then you've gotten something. And the only way that we can speak about these archetypes is by dealing with the superhero, the image that comes. I do shamanic work, and we go for a power animal, or we go for a guardian, and there's always an image that comes. And it's difficult in the beginning for people to know that image represents something that's well beyond it, that's in another dimension. But the image has meaning. So when I work, you'd ask me anything important in a dream. When I work and do shamanic work and shamanic healing, the different images appear to me, and I'll know how ill someone is, or how soft this illness is that I can take care of. So it's just an image that's part of a language. That's what's so important. And the superheroes in the movies that enter into people's dreams represent something, and they'll help to bring people to what's well beyond it. Remember, what's seen is only on the surface. It's underneath that the story really is. I think it was The Little Prince, that which is essential is invisible to the eyes. So let's look at the images, let's record the dreams, and each one of us maybe will know more about ourselves and the planet, and we'll have more of self-individuation. So blessing to each one of you. Dream on.